Hey, Katie, how did you know we were here? I didn't think we were live yet. Does it show on our thing that we're here waiting? I'm waiting for Anne. She's running late today, and I thought she would be here by now. But I don't know, man. And people started talking on the stream, so I decided to start and see what was going on. But, Katie, she's got her first pair of socks. Ugh, I hate knitting socks. Good luck. Oh, and I hate ripping back, so bummer for you, man. Sorry to hear that. Oh, you were just waiting for us? Okay. So Anne said she'd be here 5 minutes ago, and she's not. So I figured I'd start and see what's up. Has anybody got anything going on before I start? Oh, you knit a lot of socks? Katie says she knits a lot of socks, not on DPNs. I've done socks on DPNs and Magic Loop, and I am one of the few people, I think, that just absolutely despise doing Magic Loop. It's so horrible and awful. I don't understand it. I don't want to do it. It's terrible. Jennifer's working on a shawl. I am working on a shawl. I think I mentioned last week, maybe I didn't, but my stepbrother is getting married today. And so I have been knitting a shawl, and I am wearing it to the wedding. This is how much I've bound off so far. So I'm working. Oh, and one of my kids sat on my knitting needles, so it looks like I have to go back and bind off some of the stuff I had gotten done, which I find not that amusing. Bummer. All these lost stitches. Yeah, it is funny what people don't like to do. Yeah, I'd rather knit on those 9-inch circs when I have to make small circumference things, or DPNs. Really, I don't get the point of the whole I mean, I get the point of Magic Loop. I just find it super frustrating, and I don't want to do it. So yeah, like I said, this week my stepbrother is getting married, which is cool. We love his bride to be, or his wife to be, because she's his bride. But it's funny because I've known the boy since he was 8, and he was such a little jerk, and now he's like an adult, and he's like a nice guy, and it's just weird to see the transformation, because I still have this image of him being an 8-year-old making fun of my car, because I'm like 10 years older than him. So like he used to like make fun of my car when I was 18, and I'm like, dude, you're 8. Like, what do you have to say about anything? And now he's like this executive who's getting married and like jetting around the world and stuff. And it's just such a strange thing to see. So excited for him, but like in my brain, it's just weird. And I'm sure that other people feel that way, but in my immediate family, I was the youngest, so I don't have any. He's the only one I've got. I don't have any frame of reference for anything else. Ooh, yeah. So socks, two circular needles. That sounds terrible. Yeah, we weren't live because you were running so late. So you're joining us, and we're here already.
Oh, hi.
Okay. So we're on.
Hang on.
Okay. She's getting removed, I think. Yeah.
There we go. I'm so sorry about that. I clicked in and then I forgot that my laptop was on silent. So hello, everyone.
That's okay. I was just telling them about my brother Mike's wedding today, and we were talking about how much I hate magic loop and knitting socks, and that's all you've missed.
Oh, there you go. Well,
Yeah.
I love magic loop and knitting socks. So
There you go. No, but I was saying my stepbrother, he was like 8 when I met him, and so to see him being an adult and like doing these adult things is just so weird because it's weird, but you have a younger brother, so you probably understand a little bit. Like, you remember
yeah,
this annoying kid, and all of a sudden he's like an adult doing adult things, and you're like, what is this? So,
allowed. I don't think so.
yeah. But Anne was house sitting at her parents' house, which is why she's running late, because she decided that the best way to podcast is to do it from home. So,
Yeah, to sit, to sit in my normal spot, and that it's much better fuss and bother to move everything around and be here than it is to figure out a new sort of setup.
yeah. But I started early because somebody started talking on the chat and I couldn't figure out what was going on. So I wanted to know. I was too nosy to wait for you.
Like, you needed to reply.
I need to know what was going on, man. So, because I don't exactly know what it looks like when we're waiting to go live, if people can see that we're gonna, or how that works. So
Right.
I was busy. Wanted to see what was up. So have you done knitting this week or just spinning?
I've done both.
Yeah.
Here. Well, the thing is that with the knitting, like I said before, I'm doing another Rockefeller shawl. So it looks very similar to the first one, but I got the main kind of section done this week, and then I'm working on one of the little wings.
That's cool. It's amazing to me how different that looks than the first one you did because of the yarn choice.
Yeah, I really like it. I'm a big fan of Rowan felted tweed, not gonna lie. But yeah, it's definitely one of my favorites. And also it is very soft, which I know I've said before, I've made sweaters out of this and wearing it, and that there's a little, I don't know, sort of a textural difference. Like, sweaters are okay, but if I have it on a hat, that's just the slightest bit too itchy. Like, for some reason on your forehead, it's a little irritating, but here I'm like, ooh, it's so fluffy.
Yeah, it's
So
on your forehead, it's on you like the whole time.
Mm.
It's different than wearing something that maybe touches as you move, or it's not the same. And it's not a hat band that's like on you.
Right.
I don't know, man.
I know, it's true. And I love this stuff. It's awesome. But I've also, as you said, I've been spinning. So, and this is not going to be easy to see. Here, hang on. Oh, wait, there we go.
Oh, it's so pretty.
Yeah, and this is, I'm trying to remember what all it is. That this is 3 strands and 2 of natural dark brown, and then there's one that it's another one from the South Dakota Wool and Carter's lady, that it is a sort of Christmassy mix, that there are these reds, and the greens are hard to see, but they're really beautiful. That's red and green, and then there's also its own shade of dark brown in there too. So there's just a little bit of dimension in there.
No, it's really pretty. And we were on the phone, and when you were explaining it to me, like, I was trying to picture it, but seeing it in life, it's like so pretty.
All right, I
love it in the comments. So, yay you!
There we go. But yeah, anyway. So I've got 2 of those done this week, but it's actually the first time that I've done a 3-ply yarn, because normally what I do is, so I have this kind of old rickety spinning wheel that I love, but it only has 1 bobbin. So I'll or spool, or however you say. So I'll take that and then I'll ball wind it off, And then normally I'll just, take from the center and side and then do 2 plies that way. And so this time I did that, but with the second ball of the red and green in. So that was its own learning curve. I've heard a couple different people say, talk about Navajo plying, which seems to be like large crochet loops as you ply it. I'm like, oh, well, that's interesting.
Yeah, I know my mom did that a lot when she started.
Mm-hmm.
But you're not supposed to call it that now. I think it's supposed to be called chain plying or something like that, because Navajo is cultural appropriation. So,
well, FYI. I would like to respect the Navajo and that they've learned this wonderful way to ply yarn. So,
hey, I'm just telling you what I've heard.
Well, sorry. I'm sorry. I appreciate your stuff.
Yeah, the problem with cultural appropriation, like, you can have a respect for someone and use their technique and call it that because that's where it came from. It's not, I'm stealing it, so therefore, I don't know. People are just goofy.
Right. And look at all this stuff that is called Fair Isle, and no one's like, I don't know, can't call it Fair Isle because you might insult someone in Scotland. No, it's just what it's called.
Right. I don't know. So.
Yeah. Have you already been showing off your knitting?
I mentioned mine slightly, but I'm still binding off. Okay. And I'm using Jenny's surprisingly stretchy cast bind off. Is that what it's called? Where instead of just knitting 2, and then pulling a loop over, you knit 1, yarn over, knit another, and then you pull the 2 loops over.
Okay.
Because I'm going to steam the crap out of this when I'm done. My mom has a garment steamer, and I'm just going to use that to stretch it open because it's very large, but none of my flowers are really popping.
Okay.
When I steam it, I really want this to be drapey, and I want it to, my intent, if it works, is to almost wear it as not a cape, but like a little caplet thing where I use my shawl pin and put it on, and it will cover my arms and most of my body for the wedding, and I'll feel very happy about that. Not most of my body, but you know what I mean. Like it'll be an accessory, and it's been beautiful all week. It's been in the 70s, and then today it is 60 and pouring. So I'm glad that I'm almost done with it. I could have done one more row of flowers in the pattern. It's got the end has 2 rows of flowers almost on top of each other. You do 2 rows of your main color, and then you do another row of flowers, and it makes the end very beautiful. But I didn't have time for that because these flower rows at the end, you have to wrap 3 times, and then you have to wrap around your stitches, and they were taking me an hour each. Reality was calling me saying, you don't have 3 more hours of doing this or more than that because of the rows. It was just at that point where everything's long. So yeah, it's just about done. And based on how it looks is going to determine what dress I wear. I have a solid black one. So if it doesn't go with the one that, sorry guys. But I have a dress with flowers on it, and so if it doesn't match the flowers, then I'm wearing the solid black dress, because after all this work, I'm wearing this. I will wear jeans with it if that's what it comes down to.
Right.
Because that's just life. So,
in the end, this is being worn to a wedding.
I am wearing it.
If the wedding itself is canceled, you're like, I'm here. I'm at the church. Don't.
Yeah. So. Anyway, sorry guys. It's been that kind of day. Do you know what happened to me? So I'm sitting on the couch knitting. Okay, this is all I've knit this week, and I've been binging TV. So I watched all of The Maid on Netflix, which it's not called The Maid, it's called Maid. And I really enjoyed it, but it is depressing, and it deals with domestic violence. So if that's not your cup of tea, I don't recommend it. But sometimes stuff like that is really overplayed and like so out of control and not realistic. And it felt real when I was watching it, so I enjoyed it. And then now that I'm done with that, I'm watching Virgin River, which is like totally fluffy. And she's a doctor who moves to a town, and the doctor she's helping doesn't like her, and it's that kind of crap. So I'm sitting there, I'm totally into my show, and I go and I'm knitting, and I shift, and my ball of yarn rolls off of my lap into my cup of coffee.
Oh,
like, what are the odds? I was just so anyway.
Nice.
That's been my morning. The shawl's gonna be done. It has coffee on it. I don't care. I will wear it. It's the only thing I wear to the wedding. This is my life. This has been my life for the whole week. Anyway, so that's my life. I haven't watched any news. Sorry, Anne.
Well,
I got nothing. I got nothing else. This is it. Knit, knit, knit. So.
Which, does make for a bad week. I know the Hats for Sailors organization just put out a photo that they have 2,000 hats already, which is awesome. But I'm sitting there like, oh no.
Yeah, I know that we haven't talked about it in a couple weeks because yeah, we haven't. We've been doing other things, but Hats for Sailors, you have until the 12th of November. Get your hats in, and they need them. When I'm done with this, I'm going to be buckling down and getting some hats done. My mom made 4 or 5 of them, and I want to do at least that for it. So, But, and you've gotten one done, right, Anne?
Yeah, I may have to. Like I said before, I think I'm going to have to go through some of my my hats for Etsy and see, see which of those I can put in, or what's 100% wool or superwash or whatever. But yeah, I intend to make more, but hopefully. It may be stash diving for hats, but considering how many hats I have just sitting around, then I know the Betsy Ross one, they don't want to be overtly patriotic, but there's just stacks of hats here. There's so many hats.
That's how it is here, and I'm gonna do the same thing probably. But the problem is my mom and I used to sell at craft shows a lot, and we didn't use a ton of like 100% wool for those, just because the audience we were targeting, the price point, we needed to keep it low. So I'm not sure what we have, but yeah, I'm sure that I have stuff lying around that we could totally just do as well. But we have amazing people in our groups who have finished 8 hats or several, and it's just very cool. Very good work.
Very cool. But yeah, just like I'm sitting there, filled with guilt, just stacks of lovely hats, and I'm like, oh wow.
Well, we don't have to be guilty. I mean, we did. We organized it. That's a thing. So we're still helping.
Made an effort.
So I'm gonna not be looking at you because I am binding off. So I just want you to know that I have to pay attention to this. Earlier when the kids sat on it and I had to redo a whole bunch. So
that's always fun.
Whatever. It's what happens when you leave it on the couch. It's my own fault. So what else, Anne? What's new?
Well,
what things are happening that I don't know about that you're going to tell me?
Okay. Well, I have some obscure international news for you. How about that? Out of Czechoslovakia. No. Now I'm going to get it wrong. I said obscure news. The Czech Republic, and I don't know if it's one the same with Czechoslovakia. Because there was a split, and I forget exactly how the split goes, and how it's named. Anyways, so the Czech voters have voted out communists from their parliament for the first time since 1948. So they had 2 communist members of parliament, and they voted them out. So that's always good news. I always like it when the commies are gone.
Right.
And Poland, very interestingly, these former communist sort of Eastern countries are getting very serious about these different issues, and their parliament voted that you could not have internet censorship of speech that did not directly contradict Polish law. So you couldn't just, censor out of hand. It's like, no, if you're doing this, it's because someone is threatening somebody. If you're censoring them, that there is some active threat, and that's a reason to shut them down, not,
just they hurt your feelings.
Right. Not kind of arbitrary, Yeah.
I find it odd that, well, I don't find it odd, but I feel like people should pay attention. These countries that have dealt with this crap are saying, no, it's not okay. So maybe we should listen to them. They know something we don't.
No, exactly. And, in addition to that, I mean, that we have so many people in our own Congress who are totally bought up by social media. Talking about lobbying. You have Nancy Pelosi, who has a financial stake in social media companies and have had private talks with social media companies, and they just do what they want. And she is, again, making money off it. That should be hecking illegal. It probably is. And, nothing's done about it.
Well, it's like all the stuff with the eviction moratoriums and stuff. It's illegal, but if nobody is calling it out or enforcing it, then does it matter? Is it really illegal?
Right. It's what is the law versus what do people act as if the law is. And that if everybody acts as if certain parts of the law apply and other ones don't, or we all do this, then effectively what is the law? But, And also from Poland, that they voted that Polish law supersedes EU law, which is also very good because, the EU is very insidious that way, that they'll appoint judges in the different EU countries. And and Poland, again, former communist, very Catholic country, very kind of traditional family values sort of place. And then suddenly you have these activist judges coming in and, trying to implement wokery and all different stuff. And Polish people aren't for it. They are very, very pro-life, very, kind of traditional marriage and different values like that, the EU wants to bring in these other things. They're like, no, we don't want it. We don't. We are Poles. We are our own country, and we're going this way, and we don't care. And naturally the EU is furious because they want the whole continent run by Brussels. So,
right. Like, how can they exert control if people are like, no? Similarly to how Amtrak and Southwest and different people at those companies are being like, yeah, no, we're not doing this. It's hard to exert control when people are saying we're not interested. We're not going to drink your Kool-Aid. So,
right.
It's a good thing, but.
Yeah, definitely. And with the Southwest protests, that it was so interesting with the, that's happening and the CEO comes out, we're not going to fire anybody. And then immediately after, and by the way, when we say we're not going to fire anybody, we mean we're going to put you on suspension and, start you out.
So, it makes it sound fine, but.
Right. And the forms that they have for religious exemptions, for any sort of medical. There we go.
Okay.
Sorry. just stuttered for a second. But for, any sort of exemption, as I said before, the answer is like, why? The answer is no. You don't need to know. And also, I don't need any reason to say no beyond saying no.
Right. Well, I love this whole, you can have a religious exemption if you have strongly held beliefs. Well, who decides how strongly you hold your beliefs?
Right.
Who can determine that? That's not anybody's,
someone else has to judge the strength of your belief and if you really mean it. It's like, also, it doesn't matter if I really mean it or not. If I say no, it's no. Like, yeah. I mean, really meaning whatever the belief is. Like, you can't judge. It's like you, as a human being, cannot look into another person's head. It's impossible. You cannot do that. The only thing you can do is look at their actions. But also, when a person says, I'm not doing this, that, no means no, people.
No means no if it's in a sexual assault situation or something like that. But when it comes to vaccines, then it doesn't count. The double standards get me every time. Believe women, except conservative women. Believe.
Yeah. Believe women, except if, whoever it is who attacks them is of a protected group. Yeah. Believe women unless, it's about a medical procedure, Like, yeah. And like last year, there was a bit of talk, in connection with Black Lives Matter, about women, particularly Black women, not getting proper medical care because doctors just straight up don't believe them. And was whatever, just that's weird, but okay. But it's like you have that, and then it's like, and then you have a large portion of the unvaccinated population who are Black, and then it's like, and again, I'm not believing you again. Let's just shove you out of the way, and yeah,
it's nonsense, Anne. It's because they want the Black population on their side. And so as long as they are voting the way they want them to and stuff, they're fine. The minute that they are like, hey, no, we have questions or whatever, then anything they say doesn't matter. And it's just
right. And also that you if you're a Democrat voter person, whatever, and you're like, woohoo, I vote Democrat, but you only, or if you're, even any level of public figure, but you only agree with them 95% of the time, they'll get on you for that 5. It's like, no, you got to stay in step.
It's the problem between the parties.
Right.
Is that everybody on the Democrat side is on lockstep, and then the rest of them, we have different beliefs, and we don't necessarily, force them on everybody. And so that's why they're so much more effective.
Right. And yeah, it's insane. And back to the Southwest religious exemption form. And no, that's totally fine. No, I don't. No, just to hop back to the point. I don't mean to get you for diverging, but that the form was very like, oh, so what church do you go to, and is it an established congregation, and how long have you been going there? And it's like, and again, none of this is any of your business at all. Like,
you can have strong religious convictions and not attend a church. I currently have not been going to my church because I'm having some I don't agree with some of the things that they're doing and how they're running things. And so I haven't found a new church yet. So I can't be exempt because I am searching for a new congregation.
Right.
I don't know about that.
It's like I have to register with a church to get my, ticket to have a belief. Like that's, yeah, it's backwards. And again, none of your business. It's just,
yeah, that's the bottom line. None of your business. Oh, geez. For real, people. I'm sorry. I'm having a day, guys. I swear.
Okay. But yeah, just wow, you are just dropping it all over.
Just keep talking, man. I'll fix this.
No, but it's it's like, can we have like a simple list of not rights, but just like the answer? It's like, just declare nobody has any right to know, unless you personally wish to share it with them. But no one has any right to know your medical history, your medical conditions, what medication you're taking, what medication you're not taking. Nobody has a right to know. And let's go farther. No one has a right to know your location at all times. Nobody has a right to know, where you work unless, again, you disclose it to them, or, with, taxes and stuff. But still, like, generally, no right to know. You have no right to know who I spend my time with and who I spend my money with. Like, let's just, you have no right to know where I'm driving, at what time, and how fast. Like, even though in all of these situations, you ought to be a law-abiding citizen, and also, that you can get, you're stopped for speeding or there's a warrant. But in general, nobody has a right to know these things unless I wish to disclose it to them. Let's just, down the line, simple, nobody has a right to know my business.
Yeah.
At all. Just simple, straightforward things that we've lost a lot of. It's like, oh, and by the way, you need to tell me all of your, deeply held beliefs right now. It's like, I don't know you. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm happy to share interpersonally, but I'm not. No, stop.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned like the how fast and the driving. I know that they're trying to get that going, but years ago when Allstate or whatever came out with the thing, maybe it was Progressive, but they came out with a thing you can plug into your car and it would give them data and then they would like change your rate based on it. My husband's going, that's the worst thing ever. Like years ago, he was like, who would do that? Why would you do that? He's like, I don't need money that badly to tell them, let them know everything that I'm doing. Like, I just don't,
No, I have a friend who has this sort of little puck thing in his car, and he was telling me about it. I'm like, ooh, no.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, and again, I am a fussy old woman, and I know that my iPhone is saying all sorts of things. That's another thing. No one has a right to know all my conversations all the time. It's like, your phone doesn't listen. Your phone does listen. We know this. And again, location is also through the phone. And again, no right to know and no reason to give that up. But like the Apple Watches, I know that the iPhone knows enough things that for me to object that the Apple Watches is kind of silly. But it's like, I don't want my bio information hooked up to the internet at all times. I'm against that too.
So it sounds to me like you think you should have personal autonomy, that you should have control over your body and who knows what. That's insane.
That is nuts. That I won't listen to my betters. Like, I should know that they're the clever ones and I am just a silly little woman. What do I know about how to deal with myself?
Yeah. No, it's funny. At co-op yesterday, I was talking to some of the parents and my husband has this thing going on where we're going to homeschool until things go back to normal. And so all the moms and I were laughing about how, because there was another one whose husband feels the same way. Mm-hmm. And we're just laughing and laughing because we're like, it's never going back to normal. What are they thinking? Like, it's so bad that I kind of have to laugh about it because otherwise I would be like distraught all the time. It would just be horrible. You know what I mean? Like, terrible stuff that's going on for real.
No, I get it.
So, was there anything else in Poland? Because I totally like got you off on a tangent about Southwest.
No, totally. No, Southwest thing is definitely important. Like you said, Amtrak following suit. So,
But I love how Southwest was like, "Oh no, those are just weather delays," and people are like, "But there's nothing on the radar. Like, what kind of weather are you having? What happened?"
it's like we have our own personal tornado on the tarmac, but it's like, but the planes next door are fine. It's
Yeah,
just us.
I love how people are like lying and you know.
Yeah, it is. It's very Soviet. It's very like, who are you going to believe, us or your lying eyes? That's like, it's weather. It's like, it's not weather.
What kind of weather was that? I missed it. Anyway.
I'm just thinking of that scene from the Avengers Civil War movie where like it's like, oh wow, this is gonna be a serious movie. It's just a bunch of superheroes punching each other at an airport and like breaking planes and stuff. It's like, is that what happened? They only broke your planes.
I've never seen. My husband doesn't like comic book movies, so I don't watch them.
That's fair.
Lawyers from Canada and US. Oh, somebody's saying that there's here, I'll put it up. Viva Free on YouTube. There's lawyers talking about religious exemptions. So if that's something that you are interested in, want to know more about, you can check out these people, I guess. Cool, huh?
Sure.
Sorry. Anyway, moving on. What else has happened in the world that I have missed? Binging Netflix and knitting.
Well, quite shockingly, yesterday there was a conservative member of parliament who was stabbed. Yep. David Ames. And yeah, I didn't know. So I was, looking it up on Breitbart and everything, and I didn't know that there was kind of a history of these stabbings for members of parliament, which shocked me quite a bit. But yeah, he was, let's see, that he does a weekly meeting at Belfair's Methodist Church on Lay-on-Sea, which is like, I love British town names. But yeah, it's a weekly meeting. He shows up, his constituents are there, he puts it on his Twitter, talks to him about the issues. And yeah, he was stabbed multiple times and died on the scene. He's been in public service for 40 years. He was a Brexiteer. And even like he wrote in a book that it's a very sad thing. And he was talking about a different member of parliament who had been attacked. And it's the separating of an elected official from the people is a very bad thing. That we have, you get to the point that you're so worried about security that it is like you have in America, where can you really imagine Nancy Pelosi shaking hands with anyone she represents ever?
No. And you talking about him meeting with his constituents and stuff, that's what needs to start happening here. Our representatives are not representing us. I mean, you can see it in the votes that they're passing, and
well,
it's not in our interest. They're in their own interest. That's really terrible.
It is. And okay, so the last week I was making fun of our House Representative Dusty Johnson, slightly more substantial than his cardboard cutout, shaking hands and everything. He was, but it was a crowd of people, and maybe there was security, but there was a lot of people there and, pressing in and moving out and, taking their pictures and everything. Yesterday, our Senator, Mr. John Thune, was spotted out and about. And by out and about, I mean going to one of our little local restaurant things and having pictures taken again, not a lot of people, very small, full security, everything else, because you wouldn't want to get too close to the people. Oh, I'm really chatting. Which, maybe it's because people are really torqued at him for the whole raising the debt.
Yeah. Yeah. In case you guys have missed it, Anne is really, really a huge fan of Thune.
Oh, yeah. Just
super her favorite dude on earth.
Yeah. Yeah. I just love Mitch McConnell's lapdog. Super awesome.
Yeah.
But anyways, just, what a pantywaist. What a despicable person. And
that's it doesn't get used enough.
But it's like, if ever there was a man for putting out a perfunctory rah, 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 red, white, and blue statement and then towing that party line, boy, do you have one there. I mean, on the other hand, A+ to him that you can see him at all amongst the people of South Dakota. And I have seen him around before, which, again, is nice. But at the same time, it's like, you are... Trump said you ought to be primaried for a reason, and I hope you are.
I don't know if that's going to happen. I mean, I hate to be a crazy conspiracy theorist, but do we really think that people will be able to be primaried? Do you think that they'll be able to win things?
Well, not to... Okay, so unless our voting system gets messed up like certain other states, we are still a paper ballot, hand-counted state.
For real?
For real.
What?
Retro tech for the win.
Still. What the heck, man?
Uh-huh.
We're Dominion through and through here. I know that much.
I know.
Freaking
I know. And I bummer for you. But no, the most reliable system of voting throughout the free world, throughout all history, is paper ballots on them counted by little old women. Like,
why are they little old women? Do you have like this idea of like little ladies with their handkerchiefs on, like out there counting the votes? Like
that, again, most accurate system. Little old women are accurate. They're the people who volunteer. They're the best vote counters.
Yeah.
That is also why.
So I wonder how many of our viewers are going to move to South Dakota to visit you to see this amazing thing that you speak of.
Well, that's the thing, though. It's while we do still have solid voting systems, again, it is because it is a small state, it is very possible for us to be overwhelmed by some sort of an influx.
Yeah.
So somewhat, it's possible for other people to mess it up for the rest of us. And like the more liberal part of the state is the eastern side. Sioux Falls is our largest city and around it. And, Sioux Falls is the leader in, anywhere mask mandates, mostly Sioux Falls. West River is more conservative and literally more Western. So West River and East River in South Dakota is like a whole mentality split. Like it is like two different states and how people from there act and behave. But anyways, totally apart from that, not important. Paper ballots for everyone for the future.
Yeah. But then even with the paper ballots, you've got to have somebody who's trustworthy.
Right.
Covering the votes while they're counting them. So
right. You need enough and also for being primary, you need enough interest in the primary, which is difficult. You need people who wants to change enough so it's not just well, things haven't been so bad. I always vote for the guy with R by his name, and I don't know these other guys.
Right, exactly. I think that's a problem that a lot of people have. Well, if they have the Republican next to them or the conservative, then people are just like, oh, that's who I'm going to vote for. And they don't know what's really going on.
Right. And I mean, certainly, well, better Thune than whatever Democrat. But at the same time, right. If the guy votes 40 the Republican side, and he'll squish on issues such as, election integrity and debt ceiling and, anything McConnell says, with his doleful turtle face saying that you should, do this or that. And, oh, yeah, we're tough on this. Like, yeah. Anyways, so, yeah, it's different issues such as that.
You know what? At least you have people with an R next to their name in your state that are winning. Because in my state, I don't even know how many people are Republicans that are in like our state assembly. I know I have one in the area where I live is like one of the more conservative areas, and I know we have one. But other than that, like there's like 3 or 4. Like it's really, really sad. So I don't know, man.
Right. And yeah, I've heard people from different blue states kind of talk about it's like we need electoral college on the state level. That was one of the brilliance of the founders that the states with the most population don't get to rule the whole country. That you want the governance to be mostly on the state level, and then the federal level be sort of, I don't know, that the federal level ought not control as much of our lives as it has, not by a quarter. Just that way too much control there, but you should mostly be controlled by the state, and then whoever your senators are and whoever the president is in the main really shouldn't affect your lives. And, and then you have on the state level that you have, again, the population centers controlling the lives of the entire state, that you have all of these red areas and, the Democrats, you don't vote for them, you don't vote for them, you don't vote for them, for years, and still you're under this control, even though in your section, you're like, still not for this.
Yeah.
So, the entire population of this section is still not for it, and yet it still keeps
like in New York, right? Mm-hmm. So we have New York City. We know New York City messes up a lot of stuff for us. Like that's just a given. But in the area where I live, there's Buffalo, Syracuse, and Rochester, which are 3 really big cities here. Mm-hmm. And so like I'm in a suburb of one of those cities, and all those people in the city affects everything else. And you come around here and it's not uncommon to see Trump flags. It's not uncommon to see like signs that say repeal the SAFE Act, which is what Cuomo put in, where you can only have so many bullets in your gun and different stupid arbitrary things that he put into place.
Right.
And, but because we're folded in with these other, like, you're right, we need something to fix this because there's so many people around here. Like I can go into my favorite bar, which we do, and we talk about like conservative politics because everybody around here agrees with us. Mm-hmm. But it's just that you get these big cities that affect everything, and you can't.
Right.
I can't do anything about it, and it's so frustrating.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the closer that that elected officials get to the people, as I said before, the better. The more that they're actually run by. I think it was G.K. Chesterton that says that you should keep politicians close enough where you could kick them, get them back in line.
But Janice said that that's how Chicago is in Illinois. It affects everything, and it's for those of us that are living on the outskirts or in different areas of the state. It's terrible because you can't. it doesn't matter what you want. It just doesn't, like, I know it's hard for you to understand, Anne, seeing as, you know, you're in a pretty red state.
No, living on the eastern side, I live kind of on the bluer side of a red state, which again is horrible and funny. And you know, that the amount of people who I see who it's like, I just want to be like, you don't understand how free you are here. It's like I want to shake them. And that they are going fully along with, you know, they're wearing a mask when there's no, sorry, you know, that they're wearing a mask with no mandate, which again is their right. You know, wear a mask if you want to wear a mask. But they are full for the Fauci agenda. And I'm just like, but you don't have to be. You're free here. You don't even have to pretend. And they are completely, you know, for it. You know, people who have been basically locked in their houses still. And I'm like, oh, you don't have to be. You can go out and see things and do stuff, and like you're free. Don't think that. Don't let the TV tell you what to do.
Dude, my husband used to work in an office for his job, but he became a remote employee over COVID. Right. And in September, he officially became a work-at-home employee. Mm-hmm. So on Friday, he went into his office, and in his job, there are doctors, and he's very good friends with one of the doctors in the office. And so they had lunch together and stuff. The doctor said that him and his family have not even gone out to eat since COVID started. Like, they'll order in, but they won't go out to restaurants and stuff. And like, this tied in somehow to what you were saying. I don't remember.
No,
but how?
No, but it's the who but you could have said
this. Who can sustain this kind of life for this long? It's not normal. It's not healthy. No matter what people are trying to sell you on. Right. I don't know.
Yeah, it's the lack of human contact and being out and rubbing shoulders with other people. It's incredibly important. And also, it, as with anything else, I mean, even in the realm of talking about ideas, it's like you need to go out in the world and discuss what you think with other people, so other people can look at you and say you're nuts. And that's very important.
He was a doctor, and his wife is a professor. So these are the people that are shaping all this crap that's happening anyway. Like,
right. And yeah, but I don't know. It's like Miss Happy Rose says.
Happy Rose. We're happy you joined us.
Uh-huh.
Sorry, I just wanted to pull that up before it got lost in the comments or something.
No, I'm always love hearing from her.
Yes.
But anyways, yeah, that there's, with a lot of different things, there have been times in my life where I thought something was a brilliant idea and I said it out loud and people looked at me like, no. Well, like, people don't live that's not how it works, Anne. And again, we all need this in our lives. The whole iron sharpening iron thing, we need it.
Well, as my mom likes to say it, everybody needs a mean friend. Everybody needs that friend that is gonna, and this example is so old, but like 10 years ago, I bought a dress to wear to a wedding, and my mom, I loved it. Loved everything about it. And my mom said to me, if you wear that dress to the wedding, you're going to be the girl we would talk about. And I felt so bad, but you need people to say these things to you, because no matter how fabulous I thought I looked in it, if I didn't look good in it, I want to know.
Right.
And you need to know stuff. You need to know that your ideas might stink, and that's okay.
Right. And we get a lot, and even right now we have, that while it's still a world of mass media, it isn't really that, everyone has their own devices and everyone has their own things that they're watching. This is a knitting political podcast. This is pretty niche. So, And if you're watching the Knitting Political podcast and next to you is someone watching trick basketball shots videos, and neither of you are interested in any of these subjects, so you're not listening to the same stuff. So you're in your kind of own section. You're not sharing interests. You're not doing those sorts of things. That it's difficult. That it makes. If you're in your own bubble and people in your own bubble think one way, then it is very difficult for you to sort of see, when people talk to each other, they share, they interact, and new ideas are created. And if I'm over here only doing my thing and you're over there only doing your thing and we don't interact, then we're all the poorer for it.
Yeah. And that's the problem with a lot of the liberal knitting people. It's that they're not willing to listen to us or talk to us. They want to. They've all gone through. I know one of them said, "I blocked anybody who follows the hashtag dismantle the knitting cult." So you are on purpose creating a bubble where you're only hearing things that agree with you. And how can you change your ideas? How can you shape yourself? How can you learn if that's where you are? It'd be like me telling my second grader, "You're doing great at spelling." They are not doing great at spelling. I sit there and I quietly correct them. I mean, I'm not mean, but no, you need to sound that out better because you're missing like 4 letters. Let's try again. Because if I don't do this, they will never know the difference. And that's the problem. Because I don't agree with you doesn't mean I can't listen to you, because you may have good points. You may have things that I didn't think about. But if you are in a bubble, like you said, you'll never know. That's the anyway, sorry. Another tangent today.
No, that's okay. And again, that's the importance of going out and meeting people. And, and if you're in a physical work environment okay, so you may agree with someone from cubicle A, but cubicles B and C, you don't agree with them. But at the same time, you all have to work together and you all have to get along. And, that it's a very important thing that way of having to speak to and get along with people that you don't agree with, that there's a certain level of, geniality that, okay, whatever our differences may be, either everything's happy and we get along, or even if our differences are fairly sharp between us, we're going to shut up about them because we have a job to do. And if you lack that get along quality, it makes everything difficult for everyone. And like I said, sharing ideas, talking about ideas, sort of testing your ideas in public.
I actually like being around people that don't agree with me. I mean, I don't like arguing, I don't like fighting, but I like hearing the different sides, because how am I going to know where I stand if I don't know what the conversation is? And that's the thing. And I've always felt like I can get along with people. When I worked, my husband and I worked in the same company. That's where we met each other, actually. And there were so many people there that I just hated so much. I worked in an office with other women, and it can be so petty. And
women are the worst, aren't they?
Not that I think women are the worst, but I think that when you put us all in a bunch of cubicles next to each other, it's just not generally a fabulous recipe.
No, but to put the Jordan Peterson glasses on, the whole dominance hierarchy between women versus women and men, or just men, like it's a whole different kettle of fish.
Yeah. No, but I when I worked with some of those women so because my husband and I worked in the same company, our jobs would sometimes overlap. Mm-hmm. And so there were some women in my department who didn't like him. So therefore I had to work harder because. Right. But because they didn't like him and they didn't necessarily like me, it made me better. It made me better because I wanted to be better than them and I wanted to prove them wrong. And so sometimes it's good to be around people that you don't like, that you don't agree with, because it makes it ups your game.
Right.
Sorry. Anyway, I am, like I said, I'm a tangent today. I apologize.
That's okay.
But it's just all this stuff, all of this. We can't just sit here and only listen to ourselves and only. You've got to know. You can't fight an enemy you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they tried to do. Try to put on their headphones and not pay attention to anything. But the ladies in the comments were talking about the Fauci documentary.
Yeah, that new live action version of Pinocchio looks terrible. Like, none of the original plot. I don't get it.
Well, they were saying it's bad if they have to make a movie telling you how good he is, and I just thought that was a really funny point. So
that is true. Oh, I've seen little pictures and clips of it. It'd be like, who puts a large portrait of yourself in your office?
I didn't see that. I don't.
No, it was, and it's like baseball cards of him, people sending him his own prayer candles.
Weird.
Yeah, it's like, ooh, this is wow.
Out of everybody that was talking about it, did anybody actually watch it? Because I've thought about it. Is it like, will I be ill by the time it's over, or is it worth anything? I didn't want to give it the ratings, so I didn't watch it. You know what I mean?
Right. I don't know about. I mean, if anyone has seen it in the comments, please feel free to say anything. I haven't seen it. Crowder did a review of it.
Oh, of course he did.
Of course he did.
Did he enjoy
it? What do you think? It's also funny because Rotten Tomatoes, I don't know if you saw that they, you can't have a negative rating if you disable the rating system for the common man and only have the critic reviewed system. So critics were like, whoa, 99, 100%, amazing. And then it reviewed very poorly on the regular human route.
So this person says that it has the lowest audience approval, 2% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Beautiful.
Wow, that's amazing. Oh, and this one here, I'd rather pull my lower lip over my head than watch it. Oh, you guys are the best. Oh man.
Yeah.
No, if I watched it, it would be for you guys. It wouldn't be because I want to watch it. It would be a discussion point. Mm-hmm. Just so y'all know.
Just so y'all know, I already hate it.
And doesn't need to watch it to know that it's terrible.
Well, it's like, again, one ought to watch people that you disagree with, but Fauci, who is so busy saying every single side of an argument, so later you can pull the clips of just the ones you want and not the ones where he contradicts himself.
Yeah. And then he's always right. It's amazing.
Whoa.
Amazing. I should parent like that. I should just have 10 different clips of me saying different things recorded so that when I feel like, one way I can play it, and when I feel another way I can change my tune.
Just just like normal things. You can have a treat. You can't have a treat. No, look, I said this. Click.
Yeah, exactly. It's what I just told you guys. Don't you remember?
Kids are looking like, what?
Mommy's gone crazy. But I
said, Mommy's gone crazy. Oil paint. Oh, sorry. Again, massive. You sit there with your altar to yourself in your office, just mommy. What is this?
Weird. Sorry.
Once you have your own prayer candles, and again, you display them, like it's not just, oh, well, I think that's funny. You have an altar set up to you. It's a problem.
I'll have to do some looking into it. Only the COVID cultists will like it. Yeah. I don't know, man. What other news do you have? Do you have any other world news that we neglected to talk about? How's Australia? They still pretty crazy?
About to mention Australia. Still sucks.
Yeah.
Actually, so they had the quote Freedom Day, which again is Apartheid Day, because it's new freedoms for people who have been vaccinated, except not really. But what really, so again, there's been a lot of news. You can get as many videos of people getting beat on the street for just horrible, stupid reasons. But one story that really got me was a personal story from a lady I know who lives in Australia, and she was talking that there was a store, and she's walking down the street, and there was a store, and there was a woman standing there who was unvaccinated, and they would not let her in. There was an employee standing there at the door blocking her, saying, "No, you can't. No, you're not allowed." And she's like, "Look, I see the item I want. I have $10 in my hand. Can I get this?" And no, you're not allowed in. And so she was standing there beside the store asking people, "Hey, are you vaccinated? Could you get this for me?" And they would not look her in the eye, that they would just go past, that they would not acknowledge her, that they would not anything like that until, this lady who's my friend, went ahead and, took the money and did it for her. But just the level of total shunning, no one's stopping to help, no one's the lack of general objection. It's chilling. And things like that are happening all over, I know, but just the small story of, again, money in hand wasn't allowed in the store. And I mean, even other stories like that, just small things of, people not allowed in their office buildings anymore unless they get the vaccine. Again, people leaving their jobs, people put on furlough, again, frozen out until they're eventually fired. People being fired without any unemployment benefits. But there's a lot of it going on, and it's depressing.
It's terrible. It really is. People are saying that they've always been really authoritarian in Australia. No jab, no pay. It has been coming a long time, but I think it was less. I mean, obviously, this crisis has brought into stark contrast how people deal with things. It's really, man, I don't know. So sorry, totally different subject, but in South Dakota, do you guys have all the shortages? Are your shelves bare?
Not that I've noticed. I know that there's some hard things that are harder to get than others. But I haven't noticed major shortages. I mean, like, I haven't been in the store in the past week, but I don't think it would be such a large thing.
Yeah, I think the last time I went to Walmart, it was starting.
Okay.
And I don't know. I mean, I have enough peanut butter to last the rest of my life, and my oldest kid has decided that they don't like peanut butter anymore. But I got news for them. If things are going the way they're going, too bad.
Right.
You will be hungry or you will have some peanut butter. So I don't know, man. But no, this authoritarian thing is really getting crazy. I talked to Anne about it, and things are still up in the air, but because I am not vaccinated, and there, I don't know if it's happening everywhere. Have the mandates affected hospitals all around? Like, did they fire people in South Dakota who weren't vaccinated, Anne?
I think so. I haven't. I haven't paid super close attention because, like we said, you're just like, oh yeah, we should listen to people who disagree with you. But the people who I know who work in the hospital system are quite that they've gone full bore for all of this. So I find it a little difficult to flip through their social media. I think I've said before, the one lady I know, it was an old story, but it was a story about, kind of when the mask thing was taking off. I've said this before on the show, but it was a woman it was an outside sporting event. And that she took off her mask and the rent-a-cop tased her. And she was dragged away telling the crowd, I've been here for years and y'all aren't helping me. And this woman said that was great. And I don't want that out of anyone in the health service. I'd much rather have someone believe me if I say I have asthma and I can't breathe. That would be what I would expect. Again, with that whole believe women, believe everyone. If you say you can't breathe, you can't breathe. Okay, just
something I have to convince you of. It's no, but the reason I was asking is because I was telling Anne this week that I'm going to have a surgery if COVID restrictions don't change between now and then. And the reason I've decided to do it, I was going to wait a few years because it's necessary but not immediate. But because of all the staffing shortages and stuff, I'm scared that they're not going to let me in the hospital without a vaccine or without certain things. And so my husband and I had a long conversation about what to do, because that's the way things are going. And that's a terrifying reality, that we live in the United States. And I am talking about having a surgery that I could have put off for like 3 more years. But I'm going to do it this winter because in 3 years, I might not be able to. Like, I never thought that that's where we lived. People are talking about that there's hospitals that have closed floors and things. I know that there's a hospital somewhere in New York, I'm not sure, it was on the news, who closed their labor and delivery because they didn't have enough staff for it. So, I don't know, man. But it's a scary situation to be in, to be like, hey, should I do this when I don't really need to? Because what if I can't? I don't know.
Right. That different places where you've heard reports of, oh well, if you need an organ replaced, a major surgery that way. It's like, oh well, if you're not vaccinated, you can't get it. Again, if you need an organ replaced, your system is very delicate. That it's like, well, it's like, well, if I decide, or if my doctor decides, or if I'm like, I don't want the risk factors here.
So you can't get an organ if you haven't been vaccinated, but we have started requiring everybody to carry Narcan, which is to help people who are overdosing, right? That's a personal choice to take drugs. Like, if I'm not allowed to have a personal choice about a vaccine, then why is everybody having to cater to you and your drug problem? Like, I'm not saying that they shouldn't use Narcan. I'm just using it as an example.
Right.
Like
that it's like the hospital.
You're doing drugs. That's a choice you made. You might be addicted now, but at one point in time, you made a choice to do drugs, and now you're in this situation. Right. I should be allowed to live my life and not be vaccinated and still get medical attention if you can overdose and get treated on the street. Like,
right.
And I'm not saying that they shouldn't take care of people who have drugs. That is not even a little bit what I'm saying. But I'm it's a good example of such a double standard.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
No, it's
I'm telling you, tangent-y today.
it is entirely true. And again, other health factors that come from, if you're taking care of yourself or not, or if you're doing this or if you're doing that. It's like, no, it's like everybody gets medical coverage. The
Right.
shtick that healthcare is a human right. And like, I don't believe healthcare is a human right. But at the same time, that is how our medical system is and how it ought to be, that you go in, someone is going to treat you.
Yeah. Like, if I can be an illegal alien and not be vaccinated and get free health care, then I should be, as a person who pays my taxes and pays for medical insurance, I should be able to get whatever I need also. Freedom to sin is the only thing allowed these days. Yeah. People are talking about being, Deborah says she had COVID because people people don't understand natural immunity or antibodies anymore. That's the problem. And, I don't know. I don't know the answer to any of it, but it's sad to be in these situations where, like, get the vaccine or you can't have your kidney transplant. Like, what world are we living in?
Right.
Sorry, Anne.
It's okay. It's a serious thing.
So I saw somewhere in Canada there was a big protest. There huge amounts of people were standing up against the mandates. Mm-hmm. It was a huge protest, tons of people. I only saw it once though, because obviously we don't need to talk about that stuff. Yeah. You know what I mean?
It's like there's definitely not various protests in major cities around the world every Saturday, and has been for months. Mm-hmm. Tens of people out in London.
Tens of people?
Tens of people. Not hardly anybody.
Wow. I don't know, but it's like it's not happening because nobody's reporting on it, and that's just really sad.
Right. And, like you mentioned,
it's easier to push the narrative when you're, able to control it, when you're in charge of the news and the everything.
Right.
Nice. Anne just muted herself somehow. I don't know how to fix you. You got it?
There we go. I fixed it. Sorry, just as Miss Wombat of Doom that my thing is all messed up. Which made me lose my thought. Oh, about the drug problem. Talking about overdoses being an issue, that drugs and alcohol have gone through the roof, and that is in connection to you're lonely, you're miserable. What do you do?
Mm-hmm.
That
I'm not lonely or miserable, but since my entire family has been in the house since March of 2020, I drink more wine than I used to. It's just not that I'm a drunk, but like by the afternoon I'm like, gee, I could really go for a glass of wine, because you're trapped. There's nothing to do. There's nothing to.
Right. And between that and the Fritos, or is that just me?
Oh, geez. Well, when I went to the doctor to talk about that surgery, I got weighed and I was like, what? Like, I ate too many snacks with the kids. It's a terrible, terrible day.
But
what are you going to do?
But yeah, even, simple things like snacking, but also alcohol, and in more extreme examples, drugs.
Mm-hmm.
That if you're having a hard time, you find a way to cope, and that coping is not always healthy.
Yeah, and it's it just goes to show that they are not stressing the correct things. Nobody cares that people have gained all this weight or have started drinking more, or no, get the shot. That's the answer. How about diet and exercise and, you know, leaving the house, because even I love my house. I love my family. But when you guys are all together all the time and you never leave and you never do anything, that's not natural. We are social creatures. It is part of life.
We are. And, you know, what are some of the two biggest killers? It's like loneliness and stress are just.
Oh, gee.
Oh, wow. It's amazing how that works.
I don't even. I don't know, man. So, any other salient points? We have been talking for quite some time.
We have gone a bit long today.
It's because my tangents. I keep talking about things that are.
Oh.
And I'm almost done with my shawl. I have this much more to bind off. So.
Oh, nice.
I'm, you know.
Well, and also part of going live that, you know, normally if we went a bit long, I'm sure you'd be like, yeah, it's time to bring this in a bit.
Oh yeah, I totally cut out a lot of things when I tape it. But just a little side note for everyone, we might be live next week too, because I can't find the cord to my computer. And if I can't charge the thing, I can't edit. I'm hoping this week's supposed to be a little calmer, so I'm hoping I get to with the week being calmer and the possibility of that surgery coming up, I'm going to be doing a lot of things around the house. So hopefully it'll turn up soon. But if not, we might do this again. So I'm glad everybody found us, though. Maybe we should start it a little bit later, and we got more people on with the later time. Mm-hmm. So just a thought, but
makes sense.
Any other?
No, just people aren't normally up bright and early on Saturday. I know I'm usually not.
I know. I'm always up bright and early. I got up at 6 today, partially because I wanted to finish the shawl, and partially because I just did. I have been. I've been getting up like crack of dawn. It's nice though. It's quiet. It gives me time to drink a pot of coffee before everybody else is up. So, you know, it works out. But what do you think? Shall we wrap up today?
I think so. I don't know if you began by mentioning our sponsor.
Not.
Oh, well.
Man. My bad. Sorry, guys.
But anyways, again, I don't know if this counts, Lynn, but we'll plug anyways. Like, so sorry. But no, and just remember our videos are sponsored by the lovely Lynn at Chicken Lady Fiber Arts. That on her website with our promo code, you can get 20% off. It's PIK Deplorables 20 for that. She has all sorts of new fall colors in. So go ahead and check her out at chickenladyfiberarts.com.
Yes, check her out. And I don't think it's affected anything, but our dear sponsor Lynn has been quite sick. So now if shipping times are a little slow or something, just remember she got the Rona. So you know, say a prayer for her and
she in her house.
What was that?
No, she and her household have been kind of knocked over by this, and it was something that she said that she wants to get up and be doing things, but everyone's sick and you can't, and just need to rest.
Yeah. It sounds difficult, so just be patient with her if you do place an order and you don't hear as soon as you expect to. But use our code PIK Deplorables 20, and she has excellent fibers. So thanks for joining us, guys. Sorry we have tangents, but it's a lot of fun. I like having all the comments while we're talking, because then it steers the conversation. So thanks for joining us. It's been fun. We will see you next week, pre-recorded or live. We'll let you know. So
figure it out then.
Yeah, thanks everyone. Have a good week.
All right, thank you. Bye.